Emmanuel, and in just 3 weeks, he found the deal of a lifetime, negotiated an offer, got it accepted, found the EMD from a third party, me, and then found the buyer to sell it. Now, how did he do all of that? He's a member of the Flip Flop Flipper Apex community. And inside of Apex, he was able to find the buyer who's an operator. He was able to find someone who wanted to put up the money, and he's got the deal of a lifetime done, and is going to make $40,000 on his very first deal. So if that sounds good to you, and you want to be like Emmanuel, comment Apex, and I'll send you the link.
All right, guys.
Me, Apex. I want to be like Emmanuel.
All right, click the button. We really got to change that that dang video, though.
I think it's a really
Robert,
good ad that we did, but we should do some more. And you guys, anyone who's done a deal with us that wants to give a testimonial, we'd love to have that. But I could just brag about other people, and we could do a this is Anna, we could do this as Maritza, we could do this as Adon, we could even do this as McKenna.
I like it.
We'll just knock them out, and then every week we don't have the same thing. Plus, by the way, the advertised price on there for Apex is like desperately old. We're about to change the price again, and it's going to go way higher than that. So yes, people will get upset if they see that 97. That should be the last time we show that ad. Killing that one. We need a new one for next.
All right, we better get recording.
While you're in Honduras?
Yeah, while we're in Honduras.
You and I are going to have to do it, McKenna. We're up. We can do it in Honduras.
We'll have to do it on Roatan at the new development. Guys, we're flying down to Roatan to look at a property development. It's I believe over 1,000 units that they're developing there on the island. So we'll have some pretty exciting information about that next week. We just want to check out the deal, see what they're doing. I'm sure they are interested in having us sell some of the units, but I'm not sure if we're interested in doing that or not, but certainly interested in checking it out, seeing what's being down there, what's going on with the development.
We're going to go see. That's what we do. It's a great deal. We'll let you know, and we'll bring you more information. Don, what's happening on Three Kings Day? You're at a block party?
Yep. The block party. I'm going to say this deal is amazing, and I'm going to stay here until my phone dies, which is soon.
All right. So if we lose a Don, it's just because it's Christmas time and he's at a party.
Oh, that and the phone died.
So we've got an exciting deal from my property manager up in Connecticut. I'm sure you guys have heard of the 14-unit, 13-unit building we purchased at the end of last year up in Connecticut. It's definitely out of our comfort zone, definitely out of our market, but it was such a good deal. We needed to fly up there and check it out. So Thomas called me yesterday. What was that?
And we bought it.
And we bought it. We flew up there, checked it out, bought it.
We got it. We got it advertised to us in our Apex community, and then we saw it. We tried to poke holes in it, guys. We flew there hoping that we wouldn't have to buy it, but we ended up having to buy it. And that's how that goes. So if you guys want to do deals with us, you want to share deals with us, join us in our Apex community. By the way, I said earlier about Emmanuel's video where the price is wrong. We're going to raise the price on Apex as we're launching Apex 2.0. McKenna, want to tell us about what some of the exciting stuff that's going to happen in Apex 2.0 will be?
Before we get started, so Apex 2.0, the biggest change that's going to happen for members, for everyone that's already a member, is we are going to deep dive the CRM system, the Go High Level. Everyone has access to Go High Level, but the most common feedback we get from this tool is, McKenna, this tool is super powerful. I can tell that it's super useful. I have no idea what the hell to do with it. I don't know how to build a business with it. I don't know how to use it. So there's going to be some huge implementation of the CRM. So if that's something that you guys have been confused about, interested in, all of that is coming in Apex 2.0. And then also, we are setting up a new calendar with new events. We're going to have guest speakers. every other masterclass, we're going to bring in an awesome guest speaker. We've already planned out the next 6 months of masterclasses. So if you've been coming to the Thursday masterclasses, if you've been enjoying them, they're going to get even better because we have a curriculum that we're going to follow where they're just going to flow from week to week to week to week, and they're going to build on each other. So it's going to be a really action-packed first 6 months of the year, with the idea of kickstarting you guys into getting your own deals. See, I see Mary commented here, I want to brag. I can't wait to close a deal. That's exactly what the next 6 months are going to be about. It's going to be, how do you close your deal? How do you get that done? Your first property or your 100th property. Maybe it's the first of the year. Maybe it's your first ever. That's what's coming in Apex 2.0. And the price is going up. Currently, it's $127 a month. But that price is going up to $149, I believe, in February. And I know I was saying it was going to happen in January, but we got to advertise the heck out of it, make sure everybody knows. But it is going up soon. So be on the lookout for that. That's what's going on.
And Mary, we can't wait to brag about you closing your first deal. So keep us posted on that. Let's do one of the best things we did all year last year inside of Apex is that we watched several people do their first deal. We saw people doing 10, 15, 20 deals and people partnering together. So we have finders, funders, and operators all in one spot inside of our Apex community. And it's a one-stop shop for you guys to learn and network and actually do deals. And we like to think of it as our group of a couple hundred people who are inside of Apex, which we hope to grow that. The bigger it gets, the more real estate investing that we can do and the more impact we can have. But we like to think of that group as the group of doers, people who are actually doing real estate deals. So if you're ready to make that leap and you want to go from someone who just watches us on YouTube or is thinking about doing it to someone who actually gets in the room with people who are doing deals, come join us. Soon, God willing. Let's go, Mary. All right. So what do we want to do here? McKenna, you want to bring up our guests? And
yes.
This is a pretty interesting deal, guys. One, it's different than anything we've ever brought on the Shark Tank before. It is a real estate deal, but there's a pretty cool business tied to it. And we'll let these guys come in and talk to us about it. And McKenna, you want to introduce these guys?
Thomas, David, welcome to the show. You guys are live. Guys, Thomas has been my property manager up in Connecticut. We met him on our one-day flight up there. He dropped what he was doing to come and meet us, learn about the building. Really enjoyed working with him. And we were speaking yesterday about this deal that they're going to present. David is a serial entrepreneur. It sounds like this is the first time we're meeting. So guys, kick it away. Let's let everyone know what's the deal, what's the opportunity, and we'll go from there.
You want me to start, Tom?
Yeah, David, do it up, bro.
All right. So thank you for having me. In fairness, I figured out I was going to be on a show about 30 minutes ago. So if I'm a little unprepared, that's why.
It was actually about 8 minutes.
How long do we have, by the way? I should ask that first. You want like a 5-minute version or a 10-minute version, or?
Go. We've got plenty of time.
Okay.
Yeah, we typically go for an hour,
Okay.
and we've got all the time in the world.
All right. So I am a real estate guy. I'm actually a 20-year investor this year. And so the reason that I reached out to Tom, who reached out to you, is for the real estate component of the deal. But I'm gonna leave that piece till later on. Let me tell you about the business and how it came about, if that's all right first. So when cannabis became legal, when it started becoming legal, first medically and then later on recreationally, different state to state, I'm a serial entrepreneur. I get pitched a lot of opportunities, and I started getting people who were excited about cannabis. And so they would reach out and say, hey, I've got this great idea. We're going to get licensed. I'm in Connecticut. Connecticut is one of the poorest states to conduct cannabis business in, even though the price per ounce and price per pound is highest, or one of the highest. It was probably the fifth one, was a young guy who just reached out of the blue, and he told me about this opportunity in Canada. It's in a place called Woodstock. It's outside of Toronto. The company's name is Fastleaf. And he described a model that made a lot of sense to me. It was pretty brilliant. So in Canada, there was a very expensive license that you could purchase that lets you grow all the weeds you want. It was millions of dollars to get the license, and only 2 companies did it. I think they're both out of business by now. And then there was a smaller license that was roughly the size of a tractor trailer that was much, much cheaper. And so this company had this bright idea to put together the same large factory as those big players. And they got lots of little licenses, and they cut their place up into little rooms, and they franchised out the rooms. It's not exactly a franchise, but it's very similar. The easiest way to describe it is it's like a franchise. So they have, they have like 50 rooms, we'll say, and each room has a different owner. And so you were allowed to avoid paying the $1 million, but you still have the economy of scale of having a big operation. So they have one roof, they have one growing team, they have one sales team, one security team, one fence, all of those kind of things. They have all the benefits without paying the millions of dollars that they couldn't get. So I invested in one of those rooms. And so these guys are at one point, they're like, hey, we want to come to America. All the good opportunities in America. Canada is also reasonably unfriendly to growing cannabis business-wise. They pretty much they tax it to death is really the answer. And also in these pictures that you're seeing, these are actual pictures from the facility in Woodstock. The guy who created the grow model, everybody likes to say they grow the best weed, and who grows the best weed? I don't know, but this weed is very high end. The guy is an engineer and a cannabis connoisseur, and he mixed those together. And there's a lot of science and engineering that goes into this grow. He grows very high-end weed. And I tell people that, do I grow the best weed? I'm not going to say that because that's a lofty claim. We grow top-tier weed, and it's consistent. It's like going to a restaurant where you're going to get the same thing every time. If you go to, if you go to McDonald's, you know exactly what you're going to get. Some of the mom and pop shops, maybe you get a little variation depending on if there's a different cook on that night. And this is designed to be the same all the time, which the weed industry on the whole is missing. There is a little inconsistency. And so it's based on, this model is very successful based on $3 a gram sale price, which is $13.44 a pound. And that still is even better in America. So these guys say they want to come to America. And they say, hey, we want someone to be the franchisor. I mean, you need to be an American citizen, and they want someone to be the guy who's selling the little rooms, selling the tractor trailer size rooms. And they chose Michigan. And I'm like, oh, Michigan, I don't know. A lot of people grow in Michigan. Licenses are very easy to get. Everybody grows. The average sale price is low. And so they made it sound like a job, and I wasn't interested in a job in Michigan. I live in Connecticut. I don't think you could pay me any amount of money to go get a job in Michigan. So I said no. And I said, but I know what your model looks like. I love the model. And I know that you're going to put all the money into the building. Could I be your landlord? I'll buy a factory and be your landlord. And they said, that's not really what we're looking for. And we didn't do anything. And maybe 8 months later, they reached back out and they said, we're striking out. We're not figuring out how to get this off the ground. We're willing to consider altering our model to make you the landlord. And I'm like, okay, great. That sounds fantastic to me. I'm going to buy a building that's the right size in the right area that needs a ton of work, and I'm going to get it cheap. They're going to fix it at their expense, and I'm going to have this great building and collect a lot of rent. I'm going to be their landlord. And that was my idea. Throughout the process, we figured out that I ended up saying yes to being the franchisor because it was much more lucrative than I expected. It wasn't nearly as much of a job as I thought it was going to be. So I have limited contacts in Michigan, and I'm looking around, and they gave me a buy box. I'm looking for something between 50 and 150,000 square feet. Geographical area wasn't as important. They gave me some other stuff to look for, and I'm striking out for a few months. And they give me they give me this listing, and they say, hey, we're looking for something just like this. And they send me this building at 1075 South Collings Road in Carl, Michigan. That's the building. And it's for sale. And I'm like, well, guys, why don't we buy this one? And they're like, oh, well, we talked to the owner and we asked him if he would do seller financing. And he said no. And I'm like, oh my God, these guys, they're weed guys. They're not real estate guys. They didn't understand. They just don't understand real estate at all. So I'm like, can you get me in touch with the owner? I talked to the owner. The owner, right on the first phone call, says, I don't want to hear anything about this this seller financing stuff, and I just want cash. And like typical, we real estate guys, we hear this semi regularly. And I asked the guy some questions about himself, and I said, "Why aren't you doing it here?" And he said, "I have a new baby. I have a bunch of car shops. I need to spend more time with my family, but I'm a workaholic. I know he's going to probably fail at his goal of spending more time with his family because that's how workaholics are wired. It's just inherent to us." And I realized that he should have said yes to the seller financing piece. And he said no, because he doesn't know that I'm a real guy and that we don't have any relationship. And so I said, "Can I see it?" And he's like, "You want to see it?" And I'm like, "Yeah, can I see it?" And so 2 weeks later, I flew out early in the morning and I met him for noon. He gave me a tour. We established some rapport. And I didn't want to offer seller financing because he said no, right? And so I said, "Hey, instead of buying it outright, it's going to take me a while to get this place going. Would you rent it to me?" And then he's like, "Well, I mean, I wasn't really planning on renting it, but it's been empty for a few years. Maybe I would consider renting it." Okay. And then I said, "Okay, so if I put a lot of money into this place and I'm going to, I can't just rent it and then have you like kick me out at the end of my lease. So I would need to lease it with the option to buy. Would that make sense?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, that makes sense." And he's like, "But I would need a lot of money down to give you the option to buy and rent it that way." And I'm like, "Well, how much money are you thinking?" And he's like, "Oh, I would need at least 100,000. And so I had to make myself pretend to hesitate, because I thought he was going to say way more than that. So 100,000 was a no-brainer. So he said no to seller financing, but he said yes with leasing to the option to buy, just by talking him through that process. So I felt pretty smart about that one, and that's how I acquired the building.
So you already own the building, or you're already in control of the building?
I'm in control, yeah. So I bought it under a land contract. So
Okay.
I have control. I'm mowing the lawn. The utilities are in my name. I can go in and out and do whatever I want there. But I haven't fulfilled the land contract. I went to a lender. I don't know if I want to name these guys because they did a very poor job. But I went to a lender and they said, yes, we can lend. There's a difference between if the owner is owner occupying and doing cannabis, or if the owner is just renting out to cannabis, or if there's no cannabis, right? Still federally illegal, and it was even more illegal at this time. And I went with a bank that said they could do it. And long story short, they burned through way too much of my time, like 8 months. And they said, no, we can't do it. It was very disappointing for me. And I won't talk any more smack about them tonight, but I talked a bunch of smack to them. So they burned through a lot of my time, and my land contract is in danger and expired. The seller has been very gracious with me.
I think it's pretty interesting, your approach.
What's that?
So they say it sounds good on it.
Sorry, say that again.
I lost you guys there for a second, but I love your approach that, you don't want to offer him the seller financing that he's going to say no to. So you shift gears and you offer them the lease option. That's something that anybody who's watching this, you guys, there are multiple ways to skin a cat. So, and it's effectively the same thing. So
It's super close.
Yeah.
Yep. So I've learned over the years, I've done a lot of creative financing because I couldn't borrow from the banks for quite a few years. Again, 20 years ago when I started, I bought with some bank loans, and I ended up getting foreclosed on and short saled back in the crash. And so I was unable to use banks for like 7 years. So I had to learn creative financing to continue. And I've learned that when someone tells you what they don't want, you should listen to them. And when someone tells you what they do want, you should listen to them. And you got to make up the rest of your deal with what's remaining. So if someone says, I don't want to seller finance to you, don't go give them a seller finance offer. Give them something a little different. Pay attention to what they want, and make up the rest of your deal with what's remaining. So if you want me to get to the details of what I'm presenting for what I'm looking for,
Please.
Sure. So to satisfy the land contract, I need $1.2 million. So the purchase is $1.5 million. I put 25% down. There's some fees in there. And so about $1.2 million is what's remaining. And so one of the problems that I've run into with some of the lenders that I've talked to, because I've talked to several afterwards, after the guys that burned me for all the time, is that they didn't like the location of the collateral. They get to be first position. It's 75%. I am a complete borrower. My tax returns are in order. My credit is good. My income is good. My experience is good. My assets are good. I believe I'm the whole package. But I still had trouble with these guys because they said, well, if we ever have to foreclose, we don't want to own a factory in Michigan. And, I guess I understand that. But, at some point it should still be a deal. And so Tom, who brought me in tonight, he came to Canada to see the facility with me because he was interested in investing in a room. And his ability, I'm not a smoker. I hope you don't mind me saying, Tom, but Tom tested the products, and he knows that they're he knows that the products are on the level. He saw their setup, he saw their systems, their technology, the way they grow it. He got to tour the facility, and he was in. He knows that it'll work like I do. And so Tom me and Tom have worked out a deal where he has a single family in Connecticut and a three family in Connecticut that he's willing to put up for additional collateral. They're owned free and clear, that first position open, which could bring the loan to value down to like 50 or 55%, which is super safe.
You said there's a three-family home, a triplex?
There's a three family, yep, in Bristol, Connecticut, and a single family in Portland, Connecticut, that I'm gonna compensate Tom for putting up his collateral. But it allows someone who wants to invest in this project to have an extremely safe loan to value. I think it's around 50%, maybe slightly higher than 50%.
Yeah, the three family David's worth $550 and the single's worth $425.
Okay. And if
I have recent appraisal.
if you accept that the factory is worth 1.5 million, which is my purchase price, that makes it around 2.4 million in assets for a 1.2 million loan.
I like to value commercial buildings based on capex. Are you leasing to the cannabis company, or does it get
there's entities?
What's going to be the net operating income from that lease? It's a triple net, I'm guessing.
So I'm both sides of it. So
Okay.
I get to make that part up. So it's not as easy to I don't have a number to throw at you, but it's very lucrative, I'll say. At 1.5 million, if I can just get back to the square footage amount, it's 63,000 square feet. So if a 63,000 square foot building was in, like, say, Connecticut, or you said Miami and Orlando, I mean, it's like a $5 million, $6 million building, something like that, because it's somewhere that is rural. It has some of the lowest property values, lowest taxes, lowest insurance, lowest utilities, and lowest labor costs. It makes it it's very cheap to acquire. The guys, like I said, that are growing in Connecticut, where I live, they're doing fine now because you can't ship across state lines. But one day it'll become federally legal, and one day you're going to be able to ship across state lines. I don't know when that is. But the growers in Connecticut have some of the highest property costs, highest taxes, highest insurance, highest labor costs, and highest utility costs. Just wait till I can sell Michigan weed in a place like Connecticut, and it'll accelerate the profits for me. So the building is in good shape. It is a blank canvas. It's all the way empty. It has clean dirt. It was last a Chipotle Grill bean washing factory, if you can believe that. Chipotle Grill, the franchise, had a whole factory to wash beans. It's not a thing you would think of, but it does have clean dirt. Yeah, it would make a great go-kart track right now. It's just totally empty, but it's clean. Good roof, good walls, good amount of parking. It's where we want it. And so I'm looking for 1.2 million. And I have the ability to be a little generous on the interest rate return. And then, of course, there's also the business investment. Those rooms are for sale.
And you're going to invest for the build out?
Yes. So we're going to pay for the build out, because the build out costs more than the building. The build out by selling rooms. So the 63,000 square foot building can make about 60 rooms. Each room, again, is roughly the size of a tractor trailer. It sells for $525,000. Gross revenue per year on that room is about $450 in gross revenue. That's based on $3 a gram, and the net to the owner of the room is about $160 a year if you own a room, and so that's based on $3 a gram sale price. In September, which is the last numbers I have, in September in Michigan, the average price for a gram was $2.21, and so we're looking for $3. And I I explained the difference because we're growing top tier weed. We're not growing average weed. I don't know if either of you guys smoke or anyone in the audience smokes, but if you know anyone that goes to a dispensary, do you know anyone that's ever gone into a dispensary and says, "Can I have some average weed?" No one ever, right? They say, "Give me the good stuff," right? So that's selling in the top tier is the way to go. You can grow cheaper by growing outdoors where you can't control the temperature and the climate, and it's lower tier. And a lot of this stuff ends up becoming like products like gummies and drinks and other stuff. But the flower, the stuff that people smoke, people always want the best stuff, and the best money is in the top tier production. Think of it like craft beer. People that want craft beer, they find what they like, they get the flavors they like, and they seek them out. And that's what we're doing in Canada and what we're going to do in Michigan. It's not like it's just like craft beer. It's very similar.
Sure. Are there other indoor pot producers in Michigan already?
Many, yes. The competition is fierce in Michigan. There's
Is anyone selling for $3 a gram?
Yes. Yep. The high end stuff.
Okay, so that's not just a pie in the sky. People are already selling.
Right. Yeah. So to give an example, in Connecticut, a high end pound of weed sells for $3,200. In Michigan, it's $13.44 is $3 a gram, and that's the top of the market. We're aiming for the top. But even if we sold at $2.50 a gram, we're still okay. It might take us a little while to get off the ground, but we're still doing just fine. $3 a gram is very lucrative for the room owners and for myself.
And ultimately, for us, for myself and McKenna and our audience, we're real estate investors, and perhaps we could be someone who came in and give you a hard money loan. What we're looking at is the collateral, right? So $1.5 million factory, whether it's a bean factory or a go-kart or a weed farm, doesn't really matter all that much. And then being able to cross collateralize it with another $1 million worth of real estate in Connecticut puts someone in a very safe 50% loan to value type of position over a couple of different assets. What are you offering as far as returns for someone? Let's assume I had the $1.2 million, which I don't, but I might be able to partner up with a few people and get it. What are you offering?
So tell me, I have one question for you. Are you interested in just an interest rate return, or are you interested in a room or partial room?
Yeah, I myself am only interested in making a loan. What I heard yesterday that McKenna talked to Thomas was about some kind of double-digit return on the loan while you have the money out there, a relatively short window, and then kind of sort of like an annuity moving forward off of the product. But I'm not sure how that works, and I'm not sure what the moving parts are for that.
Sure.
I'm
So
not like you. I'm certainly not interested in a business that I have to pay attention to anywhere in Michigan. So it's it's hard enough to get me to go more north than Florida.
So being the owner of a unit is passive. You don't have to learn how to grow the weed. You don't have to know your growers' names. You don't have to check in on it. You can just collect the checks. So the annuity piece is owning part of a room, and you don't have to have a whole room. You can have a partial. So I am happy to offer double-digit returns of interest payments, and I also have the ability to give out a half a room. I'm actually giving Tom half of a room for doing this. Again, they sell for $525,000.
And that was my fault. Kind of yesterday, I thought it was a whole room. It's half a room because I get the other half. So into perpetuity, it'll just be half a room.
At $3 a gram,
which is still
at $3 a gram, that makes $80,000 a year. Is half a room. It's about $160 for a whole room. And so I'm happy to offer 12% interest, 1 year loan, no early prepayment penalty, plus half a room, which is $80,000 in perpetuity.
And what's the repayment strategy?
The repayment strategy, I'm either going to be able to build it out and refinance the building, but I hope not to. I'll sell enough rooms to be able to pay with room proceeds. So selling each of those rooms, again, 525,000 times 60 is 30 million. I don't plan to sell all the rooms. I plan to keep quite a few myself, but I need to sell enough to build out and to pay you guys back.
And how much of this business do you own? I know there's a team up in Canada. Well, What's the
We are,
equity
we are
percentage?
contractual partners, but I own 100% of the business. I did not give up any equity points in it. And the reason I didn't is because I decided I wanted to take all the risk and keep it all on me, because my business isn't worth anything today. It doesn't have any revenue. I don't want to give away, all these points on it at such a low value. So I've kept the entire thing for myself. I get to choose the minimum investment. I get to decide all the decisions. The guys in Canada who are contractually partnered with me, they're the ones who bring in the technology. They are hiring the employees that work for me. So they're my employees for my company, but they're getting instructions from Fastly from Canada. And they are the ones who operate. One nice thing is their facility in Canada to the place in Michigan is only a 3-hour drive. You think about it being different countries, but it's actually pretty close. So my next step is to buy a small single family near the factory and furnish it so these guys can come in when they want, Airbnb it when it's empty. If I can find anybody who actually wants the Airbnb in the middle of the countryside there. But they make money in several different ways. They make money on a unit sale. They make money when they sell royalties. They make money during construction. So they do just fine also, but they have no ownership stake in my business.
Okay, so they're going to run the business. You've basically hired them as a management team, and
You could think of it like that. Yes, it is like
who's in charge of
it's a
distribution?
management team that I can't fire though.
Yeah, are you running the distribution, or are they?
No, they run the distribution. We come up with a sales team. We have a local, Michigan sales team, and they'll be pushing them out to all the dispensaries. I've had some people come to me and they're like, I'm not really interested in weed. I see there's a new weed store dispensary on every corner. Sometimes there's 2 on the same block. We're not one of those integrated companies where we're doing everything. We're just growing, and we're just growing really well. We're not going to own any dispensaries. The more dispensaries that pop up, good for them. We're going to try to sell them our product.
And you're limited to sell the product in Michigan.
We are limited to sell in Michigan, grow in Michigan, smoked in Michigan. That goes for everywhere in America. Canada is actually not the same. Grow in Canada, you can't sell to the US, but you can export to several countries in Europe and other places. So they're selling overseas in addition to smoking in Canada.
And what do they get per gram at their factory up there? I think you said already.
So they're just shy of $3 a gram, but it's because of the taxes. It's $3 after taxes. Okay. They're in the high twos. There was a glut. The cannabis market is it's a little like the Wild West, and it's finally calming down. So there were a lot of grow operations that don't know how to grow well. They just buy a huge factory and they plant the whole room at once. And if you can't control the temperature and the climate, you don't have the perfect water. I mean, your growing is an art. It's just as much an art as a science. And so they had a lot of substandard product, and it sat because nobody goes into the dispensary and say, hey, can I have some average weed? It sits, and it sold for very low amounts, and it took a long time for that to sell out, but it has sold off the market. Michigan had similar things. There's people going out of business in Michigan, and their substandard weed sits on the market, and it's got to go. So it does drag down on the average price. But again, we're looking for the craft beer drinkers of cannabis. We're looking for people they want the best stuff, top tier stuff, and they will seek it out and they'll pay for it.
At $525,000 a room, have you pre-sold any rooms? Because that's how you're planning to fund the build out.
Yeah, I have 2 deposits, and I have 2 I have a verbal commitment on 2. He's someone I know. I expect him to come through. So at this time, I only have 4 sold.
Okay, and how will that work? Are you gonna? So you've got $2 million in committed room sales. You buy the building. Do you then get the $2 million to build out the 60 rooms, or do you have to do it in tranches? How's that going to work? How's the build out going to work?
Sure. So the build out, the first step is the drawings, architecturals. We have to go through that. They're pretty expensive. They're like 40, 50, 60,000, something like that for all the drawings needed. And then we have to apply for our city permits, get our permits approved. The town of Carl, Michigan has been very cooperative. Like Connecticut's a very anti-business state. Michigan, I was surprised. They were really nice. They sailed us through for getting our licenses, and it was really easy. So we have to get our permits approved, and then we can start building. I'm keeping the construction in-house. one of the easiest ways to go wrong on a deal of this size is to get into bed with the wrong contractors. And so I'm actually sending my Connecticut teams to Michigan to build this. So I'm keeping the construction in-house, and there's also good profit in it. It's a reasonable thing to keep in-house. So the construction, we are going to have some phases. You don't build all 60 rooms at once. Every room is completely independent. So there's like 60 HVAC systems. There's 60 everything's basically. They do share like drying rooms and water supply, but so you do the things that are think of it as infrastructure. We do the electrical first. We put in the drains in the floors, and we put in like the major water system, and then we'll build like the first phase will be like 10 rooms, and then when the 10 rooms are like 2/3 through, we start the next 10 rooms. So there will be some phases.
David, have you done, you were talking about a project of this size, and you said that you're a serial entrepreneur, real estate investor. Give us some background on you. What type of projects have you done in the past, and where's your track record of success that people out there? And we don't have a big crowd tonight, but we'll usually get a couple hundred people that will end up watching one of these live streams. Right now, we've only got 20 people or so, 30 people. But I'm sure that those are some of the questions. And guys, if you want to put questions in the chat, you can pop some questions in there, and we'll try and get them to answer from David. But David, tell us about your background a little bit.
Sure. So I started out in I was a restaurant worker, and then I went to IT. I went to Porter and Chester Institute, and I was a help desk tech. And then I started flipping cars. I was flipping cars on the side for about 8 years, and then my mechanic was going to lose his place, and he says, "Hey, do you want to get a shop together?" So my first real business was a car dealership in Connecticut. And so I went from flipping cars, and while I had that, I started buying houses. And I was always overlapping. I was always, just working all the time. By the way, I'm a recovered workaholic. I'm actually doing pretty good these days. It took me a long time to figure it out, but I'm probably working more like 30 hours a week these days. A lot of delegation and a lot of saying no to things that I don't really have to do. So I'm much better than it used to be. So I've had a few car dealerships. I tried the bar restaurant thing. Did not succeed with that. I had the only firehouse subs in Connecticut for a while. That also went poorly. I've learned to stay out of the restaurant business. I learned what side of the bar I belong on and to stay there. I've done. I had a big space. I had a big commercial space in Connecticut, and I couldn't fill it, so I made a flea market. So I had a flea market business to fill the space. And it actually worked that we found a tenant to take it over, which was the plan. And then we dissolved the flea market and we rented the space. So I had a flea market for a while, which is, of course, not very impressive as a business. Assisted living. I took a stab at that. I actually did end up winning on that, but it was because I sold it with good seller financing terms. I was the seller. Assisted living it's a very heavy lift, but it's super valuable. It makes a lot of money. But I wouldn't attempt it again. There's just easier ways to make money than that. If I was going to explain it to my friends, I had mixed results as far as success versus failures as far as outside of real estate. Real estate is where I've really won a lot. I do a lot of Airbnbs now. I'm not buying long-term rentals, but I was buying long-term rentals forever. I had 139 doors at my peak, which was 2019. I started selling off because the market started to feel high, and I'm old enough to have been through the last crash. And so obviously I was a little early. I definitely missed some growth, but if you try to time the market, people get that right. I don't have regret over it. I started buying things that I thought were recession. I bought a liquor store. Funny story with the liquor store. I bought it because it was recession proof, and I found a deal. And after I looked into it, I'm like, this is a terrible idea. They only make money if the owner works like 100 hours a week. I ended up selling the liquor store, but I kept all the contents, and I sold it empty. So I actually did win, and I made money on the property. I didn't sell the profit. So the liquor store was very short-lived. But a variety of things. I mean, I was the kind of kid who was selling gum in his high school cafeteria or middle school cafeteria and getting in trouble. And no one told me, hey, you're an entrepreneur. I didn't know. My parents were very traditional. Go to school, get a job, get a better job, earn 3% a year. It was, but I've always been buying and selling, comic books and magic cards when I was younger. And then it was computer parts and office supplies. Even now I have cars on Turo. One of my goals is to drive for free. So I have some cars on Turo to pay for what I want to drive.
So you can have a really nice car and you get to drive it.
Yeah, so I have moderate cars. I don't have anything like brand new. I don't have anything exotic. You guys know what a Cadillac Blackwing is?
No.
No, a Cadillac Blackwing is a car that could be on people's bucket lists. So I have a 2019 one of those, and then I like Escalade, and
Okay.
so I have. But to have an Escalade for free and a Blackwing for free, I have 2 Escalades and 2 Suburbans, and the others rent out. And so I have a good gig where they're doing airport runs to like Logan in Boston and
Nice.
JFK in New York and White Plains, and there's a couple Connecticut airports. So they do a lot of airport runs, and that's how I drive for free.
And do you have a team that manages that?
Actually, it's my daughter. My daughter's 20, and she's been handling
good.
the Turo parts and stuff.
We love family business. You can tell.
She really wanted to get into the Airbnbs, and I tried to get her to work in a restaurant. Honestly, I think restaurant work is the best work you can do as a young person, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. It teaches you how to hustle, how to communicate, how to just be on time, and it teaches you accuracy. My office is not hard. It's not strict. My daughter would have been fired from some other place like 20 times by now.
It's surprising how many entrepreneurs come out of the service industry. I agree with you. I think it's a great place to start and go and learn how to basically sell yourself and see what works and know that you got to put the effort in order to get the return. But we see a high percentage of entrepreneurs come out of that restaurant industry or just service in general. So I love the idea of highest and best use anytime we're looking at an investment. So I think you sounds like figured out what the highest and best use is for this warehouse or this property in Michigan. And if anybody is interested in investing in something like this, how do they get a hold of you, David? And we'll have this out there for a while. So guys, if you see this and you want to first talk to McKenna and I, you're welcome to contact us and we can get you in touch with David. But David, please give your contact information and let people know how they can get a hold of you.
Yeah, let me throw up my email. So first of all, you can see my name on the screen. I assume they can all see that, right?
Yes.
If you Google me, I've been a guest on some other podcasts and such. You can find out a lot about me online. And my email address is david080@yahoo, and that's a good way to reach me. I'm also on Facebook. I don't use too much of the other socials because I'm old, but
yeah, me too. I do this YouTube thing and that's about it. Facebook sometimes. McKenna, do we have any questions? Does anybody put anything in the chat?
No, we actually don't, which is surprising. So guys, if you have questions, please put them in the chat. I just want to summarize the deal as I understand it, David, but it's a $1.2 million loan, 1 year, no prepayment penalties, 12% interest, a few points, I'm sure. And then it's going to be cross-collateralized with a triplex and a single-family building worth approximately $900,000. And then it's a first position loan in the factory as well. Is that right?
on all 3 properties, first position.
On all 3 properties. What about payments? Are you making interest-only payments? Is it amortized?
I mean, it's negotiable. I'll suggest interest only, but it's negotiable.
Okay. And do you guys have the revenue to make $12,000 a month payments?
I do, yeah.
Okay. So that's interesting. I mean, honestly, disregarding the pot business, it's an excellent loan you're at 50% loan to value, essentially. It's very interesting. It's certainly something to think about.
We also have two entrepreneurs who are going to be highly
motivated
to make sure that the payments get made and that the loan gets paid off. Again, if someone's interested in this kind of project, this is definitely outside of the box for us. We're outside of the box thinkers, David. This is the most outside of the box real estate venture we've kind of broadcast. We do a lot of.
Told you it was a weird one.
We do a lot of what you talked about earlier, single family flips or small
Seller
commercial buildings,
financing.
things like that, buying apartment buildings in Connecticut and letting Thomas run them. But I can see the merits of it. I mean, you know, a lot of times we get things pitched to us and they just don't work out monetarily. But if you guys are thinking about making double-digit returns secured by real estate at twice the amount that you're lending, with a couple of motivated entrepreneurs who are going to make sure that you're going to get paid back, this deal, we call this the Shark Tank. So I'm not in a position to offer to fund your deal, but I certainly, as a shark, would look at this and go, that's a pretty decent deal. And I don't have any business or interest in being in the weed business, but I have an interest in you guys, and I know Thomas. So David, I've met you tonight, but you did a great job of presenting what you've got. I think your story makes sense. I can't imagine that there wouldn't be people who are interested in doing something with you guys on this project. So hopefully we'll get some people who comment in. Maybe someone will send you an email. I'd love to stay in touch with you after tonight and make sure that we hear about the success story. Maybe we have you back in after you've got that stinky weed up and running and you're making some money with it, you know?
Sure. I tried to make it a no-brainer because those banks really let me down there.
Yes.
Banks are really
worst.
terrible anywhere you go. And that's why hard money lending and private lending, that's why they're so valuable for guys like you, for guys like
everywhere.
Me, everywhere. Because honestly, people can hear that, think they want to make, you know, double-digit returns backed by real estate and jump into that. And guys, that's a pretty safe and secure loan if you're sitting on the money and you wanted to do that. Obviously there's paperwork and you'd have to make sure that it meets your requirements. But anyways, I enjoyed the presentation. I think it's fun for us to do a Shark Tank where we're not just talking about buy this house, fix it up and sell it retail. This is a pretty interesting conversation. We got to show some pretty cool pictures with the weed there. That was fun.
I actually had two other questions that I just thought of while you were closing off there, Dad. Thomas, how much rental income does the triplex and the single family home bring in?
That's a great question. The 3-family is currently rented out at 12, 15, and Airbnb, so it varies on the 3rd floor. It hasn't been operational yet. It'll be open and operational by the end of next week. And I used to get $1,300 for the 3rd floor, but with how much money I'm making on the Airbnb that I have in Portland, I said, hell, give it a shot. Do one in Bristol too, because the Portland house, my lowest month was $4,300.
Jeez, that's a big jump from $1,300. And then what about the single family home?
That's $4,300. That's the one that's $4,300.
That's 13.
Okay. That one, I don't know where that's at yet. I haven't rented it yet.
So you're at $7,000, not
$8,000.
including the Airbnb.
Yeah.
Okay. And the reason I asked that is just to see if the collateral covers the interest payments on the loan.
I'm losing. I don't know if you said something. I couldn't hear you. My thing keeps going in and out.
No worry. I was just saying the reason I asked that, and for the audience here too, I just wanted to see if the rental properties covered the loan interest payments. And then David, for
it would be
factory,
very close.
For the factory, David, do we have to be in a first position, or is it possible to close in the factory in an LLC and do some kind of lease option instead of a first position note?
So I have to insist on a first position note in that because I 1031 exchanged into it and I can't change the ownership of it.
Okay. And you have 300,000 in it already?
Yep, about 370
370.
plus the monthly payments. But those are gone.
What's your current monthly payment on it?
11,000 a month.
Okay.
Oof. So you're already basically paying the same amount that you'd be paying.
I'm paying the same amount. Yeah.
after this loan. Yeah.
Okay.
Similar, right? Yeah, about the same, something like that.
Well, we should have a call with Mike Rusica, Dad. Talk to him about this.
Yeah, I have a few people in mind that we can have a call
maybe
with.
Jeff too.
We can talk. Yeah, Jeff. I didn't even think of Jeff. So we have a few people, David, that we can talk to about this and see where it goes. Appreciate you coming, sitting and talking to us. Thomas, I don't know if you're in our Apex group, but if you're not, you got to jump in there and then make a post about this as well. I think you would have people in there that are interested in at least exploring this with you guys further. So
I'll talk to McKenna about the Apex thing and figure out how to get all signed up and whatnot.
Great.
And McKenna, just so you know, the rental income, and I based it on the $1,300 for the third floor instead of the Airbnb. It's $8,450 a month in income for the two houses.
So just to be clear, though, Tom's not paying the monthly payment on the loan. That's all.
Nope.
So
yeah, but
that's
in a worst case scenario, the collateral does have that income coming in, which is good.
Yep.
I think we've kind of run out of time to talk about the other deal this week, McKenna. As we got like 4 minutes to the top of the hour, and I think your mom wants me to take her to dinner.
Okay.
There is a question that popped up in the chat. If you want to,
sure.
Yeah, pull it up real quick.
It says, Mr. 89 says, you might have covered this, but how do you deal with the cash from the business as far as banks go with receiving and sending cash? Are the banks still staying away from this type of business?
So in the U.S., banks, the government made weed less illegal than it used to be, and there are banks that are working with them. However, I solved that much better. We don't accept cash at all. There's no cash in the building. So we don't do any retail. It's wholesale only. And the banks that do accept cannabis funds and allow you to transfer it and wire it and all that stuff, they're accepting it, and they just charge you bigger fees than regular banks. So they get extra.
Yeah. And I think what's important here is that we're real estate investors in this community, right? And so if you love the idea of being in the business that David has outlined, there's an opportunity for that. But if you don't like it at all, then it doesn't matter. I mean, you have plenty of collateral. It's real estate backed. Your downside is that David's business doesn't go well and he has to liquidate the property and pays you off. The idea is that you want to put your money out there in first position mortgages or first position loans, first money in, first money out, collect safe double-digit returns. And, you got a couple of guys here that are going to be highly interested in making sure that they always make the payments on time and you're well collateralized. So I look at it, because I'm not interested in the weed business, as does it work for us? If we had the money in the bank, would we make that type of arrangement? And I think we would, right? We're always looking for safe double-digit returns, and we like to back players that look like they will succeed. So obviously, because of the type of business you have, David, there's some risk that people will associate with that. So the fact that it's a 50% LTV is what mitigates that risk for anybody who would possibly make this loan for you.
No, I agree. There's nothing out there without risk. Even the most sure things I've learned.
For sure.
Always something that can go sideways.
Don't question about
how many things were 100% safe until COVID came.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely. All right. Well, guys, thanks so much for being here. It was really good to see everybody.
Thanks for having us, McKenna. Thank you so much.
We're going to have some internal discussions about this one And then Thomas, definitely join the group because I think anybody that's watching this will want to reach out to you or David. I can send you both the link. And we'll go from there. Good to meet you, David. Good to see you guys.
Good to meet you. Have a great night.
Any announcements before we sign off here, Dad?
No, I think that was fun. That was an interesting one. And,
Definitely out of our playbook, out of our traditional deal. It's well collateralized. It's a good loan. I'm interested in trying to talk to some people in the community. And
you mentioned Jeff, and I think Jeff is someone who would be interested. I think there's a few other people that come to mind.
yeah,
I can't imagine that, if you can get 12% interest at a 50% LTV with multiple pieces of collateral, someone's not going to be interested in doing that. So it does have that stigma of, does someone want to be in the weed business? But that's not what you're talking about. If you're lending on those assets and it all goes poorly, there's plenty of assets to liquidate to get someone paid off.
I think so.
Yeah.
I wonder, is there a risk the federal government seizes the factory? I think probably not, but maybe there is.
I definitely would make sure you do your research before you make an investment like that. I just don't know enough about it, but I think that if you have made a first mortgage on a piece of real estate, if let's think if you were SunTrust Bank and you make a loan to a guy on a house and he goes and cooks meth in the house.
Yep.
They can't just wipe out your first mortgage, right? I wouldn't think so. Do your research, guys.
I would think they seize
investment advice. Like, I'm not endorsing that you go lend those guys a bunch of money, but I do think it's an interesting story, and it seems like a relatively safe way to earn high returns.
Yeah, I'm interested in having more talks to see if we can figure out how to set something up here. Let's well, this was a great Shark Tank of the first one of 2026. I hope you guys watching this hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't subscribed. We are going to have the first masterclass in Apex this Thursday. Be on the lookout for
2026.
First one of 2026. Like I said, we have planned out the next 6 months of masterclasses with the goal of getting everybody to the point where they're either they're doing their first deal of 2026 or they're doing their 100th deal of 2026. We want to make sure that you know the process A to Z, and that's what we're going to be covering for the next 6 months. We're going to start advertising that curriculum. We're going to advertise the master classes. We're going to have special guests every other week as well. So it's going to be an exciting setup. I hope to see everyone on Thursday night.
What's our master class this Thursday night?
It's a surprise. Can't tell anyone yet.
We've mapped it all out. We just can't look at the map.
All right. Cami has the calendar. We need to get it set up.
And we'll advertise that inside of the group, let people know what it is.
Exactly.
And, I'm looking forward to that. We'll see you guys who are part of our Apex group Thursday night. And we'll see you guys next week if you just watch us on YouTube. So like and subscribe to the channel. God bless you guys. Happy 2026. Let's go buy some real estate. Hey, honey.
Hello.
This is Emmanuel, and in just 3 weeks, he found the deal of a lifetime, negotiated an offer, got it accepted, found the EMD from a third party, me, and then found the buyer to sell it. Now, how did he do all of that? He's a member of the Flip Flop Flipper Apex community. And inside of Apex, he was able to find the buyer who's an operator. He was able to find someone who wanted to put up the money, and he's got the deal of a lifetime done, and is going to make $40,000 on his very first deal. So if that sounds good to you, and you want to be like Emmanuel, comment Apex, and I'll send you the link.